morning and welcome to your favorite breakfast show, iBrandTV. I am Perpetual Fast and Repeater. I'm not alone.
And I am Margaret Opera. Good morning. This is iBrandTV. As Pep had already said, it's your favorite breakfast show on television. So if you're on your way to work, at work already, at home, wherever in traffic, just sit by and enjoy the goodies we have for you on the show today. It's a beautiful Monday, don't forget, and it's a great time. I think it's the best time to start up your week and know and determine how your week goes. So I have Pep in the studio anyway, and I know you've missed Perpetual, so she's going to explain to us where she's been all this while. So Pep, you look really radiant. It's glad to have you back.
It's good to be back.
I know you went to the US really to meet with the president of the US.
No, I didn't. Okay. On the contrary.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the case, but good to have you back.
On the contrary, I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, really glad to be back. So on the show today, we have an amazing lineup of events. From the news update segment, it's going to start in a jiffy to the paper review segment and also the topic of discussion today. The sport lovers, we have sports with you because Samson is going to be standing by to bring you up to speed with what's happening in the world of sports. And then we'll move right to the social media. Boris, I know that's one of my favorite parts. I'm sure that's your favorite part too. Then the quote for the day, of course, to wrap up the show and to launch you into an amazing week. So, Pep, do we just start the news update straight out or we'll go on a short break?
We'll start it straight.
All right, let's just start it straight out, all right?
All right, now checking out stories making the rounds on our national dailies, maybe not necessarily our national dailies in Nigeria and across the world. Former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atahiru Jega, has called on the National Assembly and the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to pass the electoral bill so that INEC can hit the ground running towards the 2023 elections. Jega made this known at the Citizens Town Hall meeting organized by Yaga Africa on Sunday. Jega asserted that the bill contains quite a lot of good interventions and the issue of direct or indirect primaries should not be made to deter the electoral process. He lamented that the Commission has a short period to put a lot of its mechanisms together for the conduct of the elections. He, however, lamented that direct primaries may also be problematic because of the loopholes within the system.
Troops of Sector 2 Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadin Kai have neutralized Boko Haram and Islamic State West African province terrorists who had tried to infiltrate the ancient town of Blue in Borno State. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the Director of Army Public Relations, beg your pardon, Brigadier General Onyema Wachuku on Sunday. Wachuku said the criminal elements met their Waterloo when the troops of 231 Battalion and 331 Artillery Regiment swiftly routed them in a field incursion at Mainahari village in Biu on Saturday, January 15, 2022.
Former Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, who was ousted by the military in 2020 after a turbulent 7-year rule, has died, officials said on Sunday. He was 76. Known by his initials IBK, Keïta ran the West African country from September 2013 up till August 2020, during which the Islamist insurgents overran large areas and ethnic violence fled. The cause of death was not immediately clear. A former advisor said Keïta, who frequently traveled abroad for medical attention, had died at home in Bamako.
And now on the business scene, oil prices edged up on Monday as investors bet supply will remain tight amid restrained output by major producers with global demand unperturbed by the Omicron coronavirus variant. Brent crude futures gained 9 cents or 0.1% to $86.15 US a barrel at 5:39 GMT. Earlier in the session, the contract touched its highest since October 3, 2018 at $86.71 US. US West Texas Intermediate crude was set up at 29 cents or 0.4% at $84.11 US per barrel after hitting $84.78 US, the highest since November 10, 2021, earlier in the session. The gains followed the rally last week when Brent rose more than 5%, the WTI climbed over 6%.
And that's all on the news update at this hour. We'll go to a very quick timeout, and when we return from this timeout, we'll bring you the newspaper headlines. Stay with us, don't go away.
after market, just make you go buy fresh palm fruit. When you reach house, you go wash, you go pound, your body go dey pain you, even your fingernails go dey pain you. But make una no worry, make una relax. I get good news for una. Una don hear of banga fresh palm fruit extract. All you need to do na make you go for the up, open am, take the amount wey you want, put am for your pot. Which soup you wan make? Shey na egusi, shey na ogbono, shey na vegetable, shey na banga. My sister no waste time again, my brother no waste time again. Just go buy banga fresh palm fruit extract. They go know say you sabi cook and you be better cook.
Banga, come make your food yummy yum.
Distributors needed nationwide. Phone number 081 63974447, 08035644436, 07066638213. Banga
This is the iBrandTV, and you're on to your favorite show on television. Now it's time to review some top stories on our national dailies this morning. Now begin with the Punch paper. But the headline here says, fuel subsidy crisis. States kick as NNPC continues deductions. FAAC meets on Wednesday with the writers saying deductions not justifiable, says Delta. It's injustice against Ekiti. That's from the Commissioner of Ekiti State. States, federal government may clash. Subsidy not under our control, says NNPC. Now we'll move further down the story here that says Senator demands probe into death of Ogun 5 farmers and herders. That's on page 8. And just to create emphasis, the top story is on page 2, continues on page 2. Further down on page 18 says, Fed soar, tensions high as Anambra fumes over Tuesday's IPOP seat at home. Page 8 on that story here says, I want to mentor Aja Hawker, giving money to inmates in traffic. Coming from the socialite and businessman Obi Kubana. On the bottom stream says, NDLEA intercepts Kebbi, Kano bound 1.5 million tramadol, seizes Lagos port and drugs. On page 5, stories here says, Oshun, prison inmate wife gives birth to triplets, family seeks help. And on page 2, story here says, PDP governors rather meet decide on 2023 zoning to advise NWC. Now we'll go to the air piece of the paper that says, a report here on page 18 says, Nigeria's debt stock hits 39.6 trillion in 11 months. Page 18 story here says, electoral bills take front burner as National Assembly resumes on Tuesday. Nnamdi Kanu, still on page 18, Southeast governors Igbo leaders meet Buhari, insist on political solution. Insurance firms assets hits 2.9 trillion amidst recapitalization and suspension. That story is on page 19. And the final two stories on page 7 says, Supreme Court admits registry's error, reverses 2.4 billion naira ruling against GT Bank. And finally on page 13, Buhari Oshibajo shunned Twitter 72 hours after ending ban.
All right, moving on to the Nation paper for today. The banner headline on the Nation paper reads, Buni APC chiefs in crucial parley on zoning convention. We have to write as for the story. PDP, nobody can stampede us on presidential ticket. The second writer reads, opposition governors meet. Away from that story, Olubadan high chiefs to debate legal hurdles. Another story, UK scraps test for vaccinated travelers from January 26. That's on page 6. Another story here says, Jega urges National Assembly to drop direct primary clause. And another one, states to share $750 million for fiscal transparency. And finally, we have two more stories here. I'll take this that says, government cuts gas price to Gencos, and it has a rider. Lower electricity tariffs targeted. And then the final story on the Nation paper reads, Buhari renews crackdown on bandits order to military with two riders, the first being President writes Niger government on directive to defense headquarters, and the second rider being gunmen on bikes sack Kaduna village. Lastly, Tinubu hopeful on end to insecurity. And that's all on the Nation paper today.
Another Nigerian Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune top story here says, convention, how APC may decide presidential chairmanship aspirants' fate. With the writer saying planned 4,509 delegates, and that's on page 24. Buhari orders military action in Niger State. That's on pages 2, 26, and 27. That says, writers assess gunmen abduct 28, 3 feared killed. We have paid over 200 million naira ransom to bandits, but have no peace, some of our community alleges. 2023, how was Shibajo will perform if empowered from ICRL, and that's on page 23. Court grants Kanu 3 days to canvass for fresh ball in terrorism charge on page 8. Ekiti 2022, PDP reconciliation move suffer setback, while the same aspirants allege NWC's compromise, and that's also on page 23. On easy cam hits aviation sector over lopsided appointment, and that's on page 7. Sebab writes Buhari seek copy of agreement with Twitter. PDP governors meet in Port Harcourt today. And now to the air piece of the paper that says, how change of government location delayed 43.2 billion naira Ibadan dry port, and that's a special report on page 8. And page 26 says, again, kidnappers strike on Lagos Ibadan Expressway, abduct 3. And finally on page 4, corruption. We were saints compared to today's politicians. That's from Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida IBB, and that's it on Nigerian Tribune.
And moving on to this day paper this morning, the banner headline reads, with 4.56 trillion naira encumbrances, NNPC to shed toxic liabilities in 2022, says Kiari. This as a rider says company will be the largest capitalized, most profitable in Africa. Away from that story, farmers count gains of Anchor Borough scheme to unveil mega rice pyramid. Another story here says 2.4 billion naira judgment debt. Supreme Court reverses self, restores GTBank's appeal against innocent motors. And moving away from that particular story to another one still on this day paper. It's time to use force to tackle terrorists, Buhari tells military. And that's all we have for you on this day paper. Well, today we are not alone. We are joined by our own in-house analyst. I think that's fair enough.
Rather, our sports and politics correspondent. Got hit an
Exactly.
all-rounder,
He's all round.
analyst, sports, politics, entertainment, relationship talk. What have you? Samson.
I like the relationship
Samson
part.
Olorede, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Margaret. Good morning, Pep.
How do you
Amazing.
do?
Well,
I'm all right.
I was
I'm
gonna
good.
compliment. I was gonna say amazing shirt.
I love the shirt.
beautiful.
It is.
So
It
I
really
think
is.
apparently Pep and I will fight for ownership of the shirt after the show.
He can have it.
Don't worry. When I finish, I'll just leave it.
Then we should tear it into two. All right then.
Okay, so we're looking at the stories that made the headlines this morning, and of particular interest is this one on the Punch paper. We also have it reported in some other papers this morning. This is electoral bill takes front burner as National Assembly resumes on Tuesday. That's from the Punch newspaper. And this is on the backdrop of the fact that there was this town hall meeting yesterday, which was sponsored by Yaga Africa, where so many issues were brought to the front burner about the electoral bill, with Jaga saying that, you know, everything should be done to ensure that this bill is passed, and he's also advising the National Assembly to take away the direct primary clause and all of that. And so many issues were actually brought to the front burner. I'd like to know what your expectations are really on that bill.
Apparently, that will be the first, point of call for the National Assembly when they resume recess tomorrow, which you said. And I think more importantly is the fact that they can feel the pulse of the people and perhaps also the aspirants, the parties. Yeah. Remember just about 2 weeks ago, the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Lagos said that the House was most likely going to take off the, direct primaries clause. Yeah. Apparently, people don't have issues with the bill itself. It's just those, extra clauses that are seemingly, the thorn in the flesh when it comes to passing a bill. And I think beyond, the direct primaries, there would also be a revisit of the electronic transmission clause as well. When you look at the various local governments we have, a statistics was released some days ago that out of the 774 local governments we have, over 300 do not have access to, reliable, telecommunication services. So it shows you that we'll have challenges transmitting results from those places. So that has to be looked into as well. And, for places where you have insecurity challenges like the Northeast and all of that, it will be difficult to transmit results electronically. So I'm sure the National Assembly are gauging not just, the pulse of the parties or the aspirants, they're also looking at what the people have to say in terms of the citizens, and they'll make a decision. Personally, I think the direct primary clause will be taken off. The electronic transmission, I'm not sure yet. But I think direct primary clause will be taken away.
Yeah, I want to take you up on the why you think the direct primary clause will be taken away. Is it because of I'm assuming is it because of the Lagos incident that happened some years ago between Ambody and the present
Governor, the
present
incumbent
governor?
governor,
Yeah. So is it because now that alone it caused an uproar? Like a lot of people had a lot of things to say, but of course the words can be also always limited to you can say all you need to say, but come on, will action be taken? So is that why you think it will be taken away?
Well, you should understand that with politics and politicking, the art itself, there's always the place of selfish interest or self-interest in it. Now, folks who would argue for or against will come from the aspect of their own interest, what favors them. When you make reference to the incidents that happened in Lagos State, the APC primaries at the time, there were talks of giving power back to the people, which in itself is democratic. You want everyone to have a say in how the story ends. But we also know that there was an act behind that, incident itself, which was rather than give the direct command, let the people say, though the people still toe the line of he who calls the shots. You know what we're talking about. So it's all about for and against, those who would argue for or against it. But regardless of what it is, you could have direct primaries as a means of getting everyone on board, let people have their say and, be able to contribute to the political process. On the flip side, it could also be to serve the interest of a particular godfather or a particular faction and all of that. For those who are in support, they have their reasons. Those who are against, they have their reasons. At the end of the day, what probably counts more is when you look at the direct primaries, the cost of it in terms of, the logistics it will be involved, it will involve rather. You realize that some parties don't want to toe that line, especially with 2023 just 13 months away in terms of the presidential elections.
I mean, that's interesting. I think it's a good one. The parties should, it's democracy. The parties should decide how they want to have it, be it direct, indirect, or consensus. However it is, whatever they choose.
Is it really the party deciding, or is about what the people want?
But there's what we call internal democracy. If within them, if they are if they are able to agree within themselves, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
If within
don't
themselves,
forget, something mentioned the case of suiting a particular godfather. Now, as you know, godfatherism in the system, this
is us dabbling. I don't know, that's what I feel. This is us trying to meddle in their affairs. Their political parties, I feel they have their independence. I feel that if anybody isn't happy with the process, the person can go to the court. I mean, there are situations where people have to go to the court to seek redress, to say, this primary or whatever it is that brought this candidate isn't fair enough. We feel that something, that would be, personally, that's what I feel.
No, you have a point. The issue is, when you say you're giving power back to the people as a democratic principle, which is what democracy is about, the people having the franchise, to decide their own fate in terms of choosing representatives. The direct primary you are deploying at that point to, in quotes, give power to the people, is it a true reflection
what the people want
of the democratic act? The 2018 APC primaries here in Lagos, we knew what it was about. It was about Baba Sokwe, as they say, the slogan. It wasn't about giving power back to the people in the real sense. Because at the end of the day, it was more of, okay, this isn't a party person, let's get him out of the way, but let it not be like it's an autocratic
mode of doing that.
So let's give power back to the people indirectly. Do you understand? We know these things play out. We saw Edo State, the Oshomole Obaseki saga and all. These are facts that are well known. They're not just, permutations or something one is conceiving in thin air.
Okay, while I understand, I totally understand your point. I do not negate your point. I'm only saying that it shouldn't be my problem, whatever they choose to do. If you're a member of a political party, do your best to ensure that everybody does the right thing or something. I just feel that we should let the parties do what they want, whatever they want to do, however they want to go about it. They should go about it that way. And we've been seeing a lot of things about what happened in Lagos State. If Ambode wanted, he could have said, you know what, I'm going to court. They could have done it. I just feel that people who feel that they are cheated or marginalized or who feel that their voices were not heard can actually go to the court.
Definitely they can. Again, it depends on who the aspirant is and if the person is willing to fight till the end. Ambode was not willing to fight to the end necessarily. We saw a bit of fight with the World Press Conference of a thing where he made certain allegations against the incumbent governor.
That's true.
But in the real sense of it, it wasn't ready to go down till the very end in fighting. On the flip side, Edo, for example, Obaseki was ready to go till
To
any
the end,
limit.
yeah.
It went
Alright.
as far as decamping and going on and on. So at the end of the day, what you realize is most politicians are leaning towards the direct primaries being removed, that clause being removed. And beyond the speaker, stating that or towing that line just a few days back in Lagos during an interview, you just get the feeling that the overwhelming pulse of the politicians is that that should be taken off. And the former INEC chairman has also told that line, talking about Atayi Rejega.
All right, then, Tamsin, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on all of this, on this conversation. I was going to say all of this conversation. I just remembered we have another conversation right about now. Interesting conversation with you, Pep. We'll just go on a very short break, and we'll take a short break right now. When we'll come back, we'll delve right into the topic for the day. We'll be right back.
buy fresh palm fruits. When you reach house, you go wash, you go pound, your body go dey pain you, even your fingernails go dey pain you. But make una no worry, make una relax. I get good news for una. Una don hear of banga fresh palm fruit extract? All you need to do na make you go for the open am. Take the amount wey you want, put am for your pot. Which soup you wan make? Shey na egusi, shey na ogbono, shey na vegetable, shey na banga. My sister no waste time again, my brother no waste time again. Just go buy banga fresh palm fruit extract. They go know say you sabi cook and you be better cook.
Banga, come make your food yummy yum.
Distributors needed nationwide. Phone number 081 63974447, 08035644436, 07066638213. Banga Fresh Palm Fruit Extract.
Glad to know you're still with us. Now moving to the conversation segment, President Muhammadu Buhari on Saturday led Nigerians in honoring the memory of fallen heroes during the 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Abuja. January 15 every year has always been the day the Nigerian government and people celebrate the armed forces of Nigeria. These activities are replicated across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory and are conducted in conjunction with the Ministry of Defense, the Defense Headquarters Services, and the Nigerian Legion. However, despite the various achievements, efforts, and sacrifices by the gallant armed forces of Nigeria, some pessimists have not seen the reason for the remembrance and celebration. Well, this conversation, we're going to be having it with Samson Oloyede, our in-house politics and sports correspondent, plus analyst. Hi.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, how are you? Then I remembered we've been here.
It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, so the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, for some persons, they feel like, what exactly are we really celebrating, looking at all that we are going through? What would you say to people like that?
Well, the fact that we have security challenges in the nation does not mean we shouldn't celebrate the gallant men and women that wear a uniform. They put in so much sacrifice in terms of time, in terms of, commitment to the cause, patriotism, amongst other things, and, most likely the ultimate sacrifice of all in terms of their lives. So you cannot ridicule that sacrifice or those sacrifices that they, put in just to ensure that not only do we have a nation, but we're also safe from insurrection or, external threats, among others. You have to give them kudos. And it's not just about them alone. It's about the what they give to us as a nation. They give us so much. I know we have challenges, so it's easy to say, oh, we've had Boko Haram for over 10, 12 years, and they are seemingly not, extinct by now. We have Fulani headsmen kidnapping and all of that. But the truth is, without the armed forces, it would have been worse.
No, okay.
Okay, you mentioned that they give us so much. Now, giving us so much as opposed to what we give or what the nation gives back to them. Recently, there was a peaceful protest staged to more like talk about the negligence on the part of those veterans who have fought and who, I think I saw the video of someone complaining, one of them complaining about his health conditions. I think it happened to the left eye, how he's been left just like that. And now you're looking at it as relating it to the armed forces, the military fight against insecurity. We look at the part of motivation. How motivated would these people be? I don't know if you've seen videos of those people in the thick forest, faced with ambush and faced with the battle in front of them. So you're looking at the veterans, and we're talking about insecurity right now. So looking at the motivation this gives, I think that's one of the reasons why they're asking, is there really a need for remembrance? Because after the ceremony remembrance, is there something that's going to be done about just after what is being put in on the media? Yeah.
That's where, we as a people, as a nation, have to do more for them. You talked about motivation. How motivated are they when they do not have the necessary equipment they need to fight against the insurgents, to protect our borders, to protect, our lives and properties in terms of the people? If we cannot give them the necessary equipment they need, then we're not, helping them the way they're helping us. There's no commensurate, measure of, help from both ends. Now, when you talk about pessimists coming from the angle that, oh, there are still numerous insecurity, security challenges rather, so you do not want to reckon with the efforts they put in, that's coming from a place of ingratitude. You cannot dispute the commitment, the patriotism, the, fight that the military gives us in terms of believing in another day.
Now,
without the military, we'll not be here.
Still looking at the effort and all the things that they give, why do we still have this challenge? Why is it difficult to decimate this insurgents and all of that? Is it a problem of political leadership or military leadership? Why do we still have this problem?
Well, both. It has to be political, it has to be military as well. I'll take it from the political aspect. So much is, devoted to security matters in terms of budget, in terms of attention and all of that. Yet, certain decisions, either from the commander-in-chief or from, various appointments in terms of Minister of Defense or whatever, there could be lapses there. So that has to be addressed. That's from the political aspect. Now, from the military aspect, you also have those who call the shots in terms of either operations, rescheduling or redeployment of troops and all of that. There could be lapses in decision-making as well. These lapses happen. Now, that's not even to talk about the issue of corruption even within the military leadership. We've had in this, nation several chief of army staff that were found or, alleged to have stolen or embezzled funds that were meant for, the troops or misappropriation. We have all of these issues. So it's not just a political thing. It's also a military thing. Now, when folks come from the angle that, oh, January 15th is Armed Forces Remembrance Day and then just leave it at that, it is a date that is very important to us as Nigerians, even beyond being Armed Forces Remembrance Day. If you take it back to the first military coup, it was January 15th. The Kaduna Nziogu coup, January 15th. You have what's it called
Civil
now?
War surrendering.
The Civil War, exactly.
That's
January,
the
Biafra, yes, definitely. The end of a civil war that's killed, over 1 million people, millions of Nigerians displaced, enmity, hatred. It was also January 15th.
Yes.
So you cannot just ridicule the date. It's not just about the armed forces. It's a date that is peculiar to us as a nation.
Okay.
We've had the pains of having our first military coup that saw our leaders killed at the time. Both, the premier of the southern, northern region, I beg your pardon, Samadu Bello. You had the prime minister kidnapped from his home and also killed. We had several leaders killed on that night or that morning, at the wee hours of that morning, talking about January 15th. As you mentioned, after a bitter civil war of over 3 years, the surrendering, the so-called reconciliation process, the 3 R's, rehabilitation. Again, it's not just about the armed forces. We have that date is peculiar to us on several fronts.
There's a history to it.
There's the political aspect, and there's also the armed forces aspect in terms of the military aspect. So I think it's a date that we all should embrace. And what's it? I mean, we should celebrate these people, really.
I'm really for, yeah, I agree. Celebrating these people, we can't overemphasize the need or play down on the need to celebrate these people. I'm really bothered about or really interested in the fact that in the issue of the veterans here, I think that's my major concern, because if you look at all of this, still bringing back to the question I asked earlier, look at how the veterans are
the state of their
living after
Seven the Nation.
I'm sure all of these veterans, maybe some of them were part of those who fought the Civil War. All of those people, they had sacrificed a lot. Look at the state of their living. What can really be done? Because if you look at the state of their living right now, what motivation still again would it give to maybe someone who has so much passion, even before those who are in service now, who has passion for what of this and want to be part of what these people are doing? Look at the state of their living. So they're asking themselves, is this going to be the state of my living when I am done fighting for this nation? So I'm still interested in the livelihood of the state of living of the veterans. So what really can be done?
Definitely, payment of, their pensions and allowances that they deserve. Having served the nation for over 35 years, thereabouts, they deserve all of their entitlements, and it should be paid as at when due. That's something that should be taken into consideration and implemented, as quickly as possible. More importantly is, folks have devoted their lifetime to the service of the nation. As a people, we need to appreciate them beyond just Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Exactly.
Let's not forget that the sacrifices the men in uniform, men and women in uniform make, it's not just about themselves, also their families. Families who have to be without their fathers or husbands or wives or, loved ones for months because they've been deployed to, fight against insurgents. Some of them, leave our trenches and all of that. Again, the sacrifice they've made over time has to be recognized. And I think the most important aspect to come from the issue of welfare in terms of paying them their salaries, allowances, and for those who have retired, paying them their pensions and benefits as and when due. That way they can live in at least a reasonable standard of living after serving the nation. Okay,
I think it's important we bring to the fore some of the things these people are going through, because there was this, maybe it was an investigation that was done by Vanguard newspaper, and it was done in 2021, and this is just 2022, so I want to believe that it's still important, exactly. And so they interviewed officers in different theaters of operation, and they were speaking about what they were going through. And a good number of them from different theaters of operation were saying things like, number one, when it comes to their kitting, military kit, they don't have certain things they're supposed to have. Maybe the compass isn't even good enough. Apart from that, a situation where they are battle fatigued. Someone is on the theater of operation for 2 years, 3 years, and you've not rotated this person. And then what I think during while I was checking that report, somebody even mentioned, I think there was this case of a particular soldier that killed the boss just because the boss didn't allow him to go on pass. Pass is, during the rotation, after a while, you're allowed to go and see your parents or your relatives and all of that, your family. So, and then they mentioned all of these things. Now that, for me, I feel that reports like this are the things that are supposed to be tabled on a day like this, and then we probably find lasting solutions to their problems. Because apart from the fact that we have people who are already veterans, they have retired, they are at home waiting and hoping that they get all that they deserve, we have people who are still in the front line. People are still on the front line. What is the fate of those people? What is the fate of their children, their families? And then, these are some of the things we want to look at. And seeing that insecurity is becoming a global phenomenon. It's not just something that's happening in Africa. It's happening in various parts of the world, and we know that this thing, it may not go away very soon. We don't even know how long we're going to stay with this. Don't you think we need to begin to be more, what's the right word now? We have to be more intentional about our service. We have to be more intentional about the armed forces, including the police, knowing that, okay, the way it is now, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We have ISWAP, we have ISIS, we have all of those people. No, that's the truth. And then we have these bandits. And then when you go to the southeast in Nigeria, IPOP says we are not enforcing sit at home. Then who is enforcing the sit at home? If it is not IPOP, who is chasing people and maiming people?
Now you've raised a handful of things, really. Well, let's look at it from this angle. You have folks who are fighting on the battle front. If they do not have enough ammunition to fight against the insurgents, it's no-brainer. That's a suicide mission. And that shouldn't be what our gallant men and women should go through. We've had several, soldiers speak out, even, videos that have circulated on the internet, speak out against probably a wrong intel, wherein they went into an ambush rather than, really get the right intel.
That actually brings to the fore the issue of moles.
I was coming there. You simply preempted that. Now, we have that. We have the issue of not getting enough ammunitions or wrong intels. And when soldiers speak up, more often than not, you have them redeployed, facing, being court-martialed and all of that. That in itself is not motivating. And that's from, the military aspect. You talked about the political, aspect and the military aspect. Now, that's from military aspects. Talking about the political aspect, how much is the government doing to support the troops? Not just in terms of arms and ammunitions, but also in terms of probably as and when due and necessary, maybe salary raises and all of that. All of these things need to be looked at. You talked about redeployment.
Rotation.
Yeah, redeployment. It is interesting that you have a soldier fight at a particular battlefront for 2 years, 3 years, thereabouts. It's ridiculous at best. Nations that fight wars on different fronts, what they do is they rotate. After 6 months, 9 months at most, you have them rotate. The United States is a prime example, you know, during the whole Afghan war, Iraq war, and all of that. So you have people do 2-3 tours of maybe Iraq, Afghanistan. That's because after 6 months, they're taken out, you know, deployed elsewhere. Then probably in another year's time, they get, you know, back to the battlefront and all of that. It's just to keep the mind and body fresh. But when you have a situation whereby troops are being worn out, having been at the battlefront for so long without, you know, redeployment or rotation, using your word, definitely it affects the, you know, the morale of the soldier, and it doesn't bring about fresh impetus in terms of new ideas, fresh blood, you know, and all of that onto the scene. Now that will be a military failure in terms of the military leadership, the leadership that couldn't deem it fit to rotate troops and, you know how to change strategies and all of that, tactics and all. Again, we've had, as I said earlier, incidents where soldiers, even majors, you know, spoke out regards, oh, we received the wrong intel, we ran into an ambush, and, you know, they got court-martialed, some of them were demoted. We've had all of these incidents. Is that the right way to go? Absolutely not.
Okay, I just have to wrap up now. You talked about military leadership. I'm tempted to ask this question. Military leadership not tied to political leadership.
That's the point. Oftentimes, it is tied. And
okay,
I would
so
explain.
if the military leader, we have the commander-in-chief of the Grand Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, of course, who is the #1.
The president is the commander-in-chief.
So, military leadership, political leadership, they are intertwined.
They're intertwined because the president oftentimes, you know, appoints the chief of army staff. Now, it's still the chief of army staff that is answerable to his boss, which is the president, who is the commander-in-chief. More often than not, sometimes what you have is the president wants a chief of army staff that will be loyal, that won't bring about mutiny or a possible coup and all of that, which I can understand. You understand, it's understandable. You want to protect the democratic principle and you know, institution that we have in place, which is good. It's better we have this long stretch of democratic, you know, reign than all. But at the end of the day, the chief of army staff as well oftentimes could get political.
Thank you so much, Sam, for that one. We've had a nice time on this conversation. We're moving on to another segment, and that's the sports segment. Stay with us, don't go away.
Market just make you go buy fresh palm fruits. When you reach house, you go wash, you go pound, your body go dey pain you, even your fingernails go dey pain you. But make una no worry, make una relax. I get good news for now. Una don hear of Banga fresh palm fruit extract. All you need to do now make you go for the open am. Take the amount wey you want, put am for your pot. Which soup you wan make? Shey na egusi, shey na ogbono, shey na vegetable, shey na banga. My sister no waste time again. My brother no waste time again. Just go buy Banga fresh palm fruit extract. They go know say you sabi cook and you be better cook.
Banga, come make your food yummy yum.
Distributors needed nationwide. Phone number 081 63 974447. 08035644436 07066638213. Banga fresh palm fruit extract.
Most people don't understand the magic of a perfect skin, the allure of a well-pampered skin. We bounce from skincare products to skincare products, from spa to spa. Looking for that ideal solution. I found the solution. And it's Blemiville Skincare and Spa. My name is Neil, and I'm proud to be a part of the Blemivy family.
All right, then now it's time to delve right into the sports news with Samson. Samson is already right here in the studio with us, so it's over to you, Samson.
Yes, thank you very much. I will have to start with the Australian Open. I think that's the in thing now. The Novak Djokovic cloud has, has moved away. So what we have now is the action itself on the courts. And we had the defending women's champion Naomi Osaka play yesterday, and she was able to win 6-3, 6-3 in straight sets over Camila Osario. So she's into the second round, where she will play on Wednesday against Martin Brinkley. Now, it must be said that she started very well, 5-love, raced into a 5-love lead, and along the line, Osario threatened the comeback, moved it into 5-3 within the first set, but Osaka was still able to prevail in straight sets. It's a good thing to see her back on the court. Remember, she took 4 months out.
I was really happy to see that she came back and she moved to the second round. I was actually scared, but I'm glad that, she did well.
That 4 months, it felt like, I don't know, was it just me? It felt like 4 years. It felt like it's been a very long time.
She complained about mental health issues. So she took 4 months out. 2021 was really difficult for so many athletes. Remember Simone Biles as well at the Tokyo Olympics had to mention mental health issues and also. It's good to see her 4 months out of action. You would expect a bit of rust in the game.
But she came out strong.
She came out very strong, and that's what I like about her. She's the defending champion. Serena Williams isn't here. Venus Williams isn't here.
Oh, no.
The field is relatively open. That's not to dispute the fact that maybe Sakari could pose a threat, but Osaka is still, the favorite when it comes to retaining the title. She won the title in 2019 as well. So for the 4-time Grand Slam champion, she's right on course to probably clinch her 5th title, which will be the 3rd in Australia. And in the world of basketball, the NBA precisely, you have Brooklyn Nets forward talking about All-Star Kevin Durant out injured. He sustained a medial collateral sprain in his left knee, so he will be out for 6 weeks, and that means he would miss out on the All-Star game, which is scheduled for February 18th to 23rd of the All-Star weekend. And it's a sad news for the Brooklyn Nets, but the good thing is they're in playoff contention, and Durant should be able to return in time for playoff matches when it comes to the NBA playoffs. That's the big deal, not the regular season. But definitely they will miss him, considering that Kyrie Irving can also play home games due to his status as still being unvaccinated. So there you have it.
Let's talk about Novak Djokovic. What's happening?
It's been deported. It's been deported.
It's been deported.
When you said it with so much, are you excited about the news?
Not really excited.
No, I'm just wondering, but what do you think about his stance?
I don't have issues with folks deciding they want to make healthcare choices for themselves. I'm a big advocate of that.
Okay.
But when you make healthcare choices for yourself, you should understand that you shouldn't infringe on others. So if you're going to be a harm to others, then it's not appropriate. You've decided not to be vaccinated, that's fine, not a problem. But the Australian Open was, they were decisive when it comes to vaccination.
They couldn't take that chance.
Now, I understand folks will tell you, vaccine exemptions, it was political and all of that. They granted him visa, no problem. When they granted him visa, he said he had, vaccine exemption, which was approved by 2 independent bodies. So it wasn't about the vaccine exemption that was the issue. The issue was the visa upon which he came into Australia did not permit for vaccine exemption in the state of Victoria, which is where the Australian Open is organized in terms of Melbourne. So it's just like, we don't have that kind of system here. You can get a visa to come into Nigeria, for example, and then Lagos State says, oh, you can't get into our borders because, the visa upon which you understand, the visa upon which you came into the nation does not permit vaccine exemptions within our state. So that's where the gross is. When he won the appeal at first, talking about detention and all last week, what the judge ruled in favor of was that it wasn't given enough time to, answer to the questions and all. And that was where the issue was. But in terms of, visa cancellation for the second time, the 3 judges was unanimous. Now, what it means is this: he's been deported, and he also has a visa ban for 3 years from Australia. So
that's a big one.
But considering his status and going forward, how things pan out, that can be reduced, from 3 years. The last thing is, it will affect his career going forward because You have other Grand Slams also insisting on vaccination, you know, keeping yourself safe and other players. The only Grand Slam that will permit him to play is Roland Garros, which is, you know, your French Open.
All right, that's a good place to wrap up the sports segment
Thank
now. Thank you so much, Samson.
Thank you very much.
And again, we still have Samson here joining us for social media buzz. I'll just take the social media buzz quickly. And that's the story that says, woke up to an email from a lady who got a fully funded admission for MSc abroad. Her boyfriend told her to choose between the admission and him. She seeks advice. Well, the person went on to say, I don't interfere in relationship issues, but think it's unfair to put her in such state. People have different priorities. Now, I like to, that's what the lady wrote. And this lady now is Rita Orji, PhD. So apparently she has PhD. So, and someone had a fully funded admission abroad, and her boyfriend fully funded scholarship admission abroad. And Rita Orji, PhD, is asking, so now the question is, she's asking, why would you put someone in that kind of situation? So, well, she went on to say, my only question was, what is at stake if you choose one option over another? Based on this and your priorities, you can decide on what to do if he refuses to change his stand. She said the guy may break up with her and he promised to marry her. She's 22 years old. Okay, what would you do if you were the girl or her boyfriend? Well, trust my
Are you asking me?
No, well,
are you asking
I'll just
me?
I'll just read the reaction first of all before I get your point. At 22, Shani Coker replied and said, at 22, I'll tell your Nigerian parents that you want to choose love over MSc in Canada. They will use slap to reset your brain. My parents will kick you out of their house. You go and stay outside. So Lola Okumi replied, say, my daughter, congrats. Imagine at 22, you already have a fully funded MSc program in your front. Just was showing her dad, I don't want to go. My boyfriend said, okay,
talking to
dad, I don't want to go. My boyfriend said I should choose between him and the MSc. Dad, no, I'll invite the boy over. Let me meet him. That's something she said in Yoruba. I don't know what that
means.
I don't know what that means.
Maximum beating.
All right, and another response here said, Count Olaf said, at 22, if you have to think twice in choosing between battering your education or keeping a flimsy relationship, then I have news for you. Becca replied and said, before you tell your parents to choose between a relationship with you and their individual progress, please let she and he know that what they stand to gain from staying with you. Before you tell your partner, don't ask them to trust you like you are the almighty. You're not. Be intentional. Have valid receipts. Well, you know, when I read this thing, I don't know if I was surprised or anger. But the question is, why would somebody tell? Either I don't want my progress, or they sent you from my village or something to tell me.
I think that guy has already demonstrated something. He has demonstrated a red flag, a very big red flag. That now tells me that for every time I want to make progress in my life, it's going to be a stumbling block, because he probably cannot take it. His mind is too small to take the fact that I am a career woman or I am a successful woman. No, that's the truth. I mean, that's a big red. Are you kidding me?
Well, Perpetua is beginning to get
no. This is righteous indignation.
Right, let's get
well, I find it ridiculous to put someone in that kind of, you know, box, so to speak, where you have to tell the person to choose between you or your career. Well, you have folks who will do that, no doubt about it. But often, I'm serious, you have folks who will do that. We've seen
they are 40 and they feel age is no longer on their side.
I've seen people even at mid-20s make very ridiculous. Well, make decisions. Let's not call it ridiculous. Make decisions. It's their decision. At the end of the day, what you realize is, you shouldn't put someone in that awkward position of having to choose. Ultimately, it's the lady who has the decision, and she has to make the choice. She has a chance to not just better her education, but also have, you know, a shot at greater opportunities in life than she probably has at this time. What can she make out of that? The relationship in question, what exactly is the prospect? Is it like it's marriage bound within the next 6-8 months? Now, I understand the guy's perspective of maybe you have to choose. Some people are not down for long distance relationship, but it's not right to put anyone in that kind of
something. you're really
I
trying
want
to
to say
be
something. I want to say something.
That's not to
okay,
be
now,
too-
but the
Let
thing
me
is,
just.
all right, okay, go on quickly.
Okay,
because
for me,
let's
I would
wrap up.
say that when it comes to relationships,
Yeah.
when it comes to making choices, there are some choices that are with me to make, and there are some choices that are with the guy to make.
Exactly.
And so for the one that is with me to make, even if you give me whatever options, I'll make you understand that this is my life. This is me. I am the one who is going to directly suffer or enjoy for making this decision. And if you love me enough, if you are responsible and reasonable enough, you would know that I need to be happy also.
All right,
and so
Professor.
since it's my decision to make, leave me to make my decision.
No,
Ha.
he has left you to make your decision already.
Yes, so.
But then, in my stand at 22,
Okay.
you have your life in front of you. You cannot afford
Afford
to
to.
blow it up because of, I'll call that a very flimsy relationship. Because even if you don't want the lady to go,
Because of an insecure boy.
Or you love her so
Insecure,
much,
put it
well,
there.
there are ways. Hold on,
He's
guys.
insecure.
There are ways to go about it. You don't tell her to choose between you.
Exactly, you don't put her in that-
And meanwhile, life does not revolve around you.
Yeah,
For crying
you.
out loud, you are just a boy. You
Kind.
meet men in Canada there. Oh, well. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. It's an amazing way to start off the Monday, right? I'm sure you had fun on the show today. Please do well to join us tomorrow again. Same time, same station on iBrandTV. I'll leave you with an anonymous quote that said, "Trust because you are willing to accept the risk, not because it is safe or certain. Trust because you are willing to accept the risk, not because it is safe or certain." Nothing really is certain, right? Just trust and take risk because life itself is risky. So we have 3 anchors right here. So I'll introduce myself. Samson will do that, or rather, Perpetua will introduce herself. Samson will go, and I'll wrap it up. So, Perpetua.
Thank you for staying with us, and please be smart even in your relationships, eh? Thank you. I'm Perpetua, Pastor Repeater. Bye for now.
Thank you very much for watching. I'm Samson Lady. Do have a wonderful day.
And I am Margaret Oba. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and please do also join us again. Have an amazing day.